Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we are looking at play-up props on a Thursday here in the NBA. Got about 7 games to choose from. We also have best bets, easy for me to say, up in another video for you guys. So check that one out by liking and subscribing to that page and follow along each and every weekday this NBA season. Also want you to head to thelines.com. Use that prop finder tool that we have up there to make sure that you're getting the best juice available to you from all of these books that are giving us bets this season. A little 500 night last night on Wednesday, Nate. We look to improve, obviously, without losing too much. You feel pretty good about it. And so we look to get back into those plus units here, starting with SGA.
Yeah, I know you got tilted when Jabari Smith grabbed 4 rebounds down the stretch of a blowout.
6.
Yep. 6 rebounds down the stretch. So otherwise would have been 3-1. And we did have a bonus lean in there for Fred VanVleet to go under, which did hit by a mile. But moving on here, I mean, I'm taking some big stars here tonight. And I think my favorite player in the NBA at this point is just SGA. And it's 32.5 points. But this is the spot you're kind of waiting for. We faded him a couple times before this, but now at Sacramento in a game with a 245 total and climbing. And even if it goes way under, which I think we both kind of lean that way because OKC is great defensively. He had 33 points in a gross 105-98 game with no De'Aaron Fox the last time these teams met. He's averaged 35 in his last 4 against Sacramento on 58% shooting and is just having the most ridiculous efficient stretch I've seen in a while here. I mean, what does he have? A 141.5 offensive rating in his last 5. On 2 days rest here, OKC off since Monday, and it was an easy win, right, over Utah where we faded him. And on 2 days rest, averaging 33.5 points per game, 7 assists as well, a 144 offensive rating, so even more efficient than he's been recently. I mean, the only guy, so I threw out the 32.5 points, and I say go half unit on that just to hedge against this minus 150 bet for SGA to be the top scorer in the game, which I think is a good way to play this type of thing when there's just no competition. Like De'Aaron Fox is literally the only competition to outscore this man, who is a walking 30 points. Maybe he gets 30-31 and not over this prop, and you basically break even with your half unit on what's a really high scoring prop. But if he does get 33, he's probably going to lead the game. You cash both. Look, Fox, he's averaged 23 a game his last 4 against OKC. He had 33 at OKC last season, but that was a different kind of defense here. I mean, especially with no Chet patrolling the back line. I mean, OKC now is number 1 on the road this season in terms of defensive rating, and wherever they're playing, allowing the 5th fewest points to point guards in their last 15. So, I mean, even in a potentially high-scoring game, I don't think Fox is going to outscore SGA, and I just trust him to get his 30-35 no matter what.
Yeah, I get it. The things that are a little bit nerve-wracking about it, and nothing should really make you feel nerve-wracked when you're betting on an SGA over. The only things would be Sacramento's really gotten a lot better at isolation defense. If you want to do anything with that, they do have the 5th best defense against the isolation play according to points per possession. Doesn't happen that frequently against Sacramento, to be honest. They're not getting ISO'd very much, probably because teams are also trying to avoid getting into a foot race with them. So they do slow it down and play a bit more half-court offense. But either way, I think he's a really good bet. The points are going to be high. It's definitely climbing and climbing and climbing. But I mean, shoot, yeah, like we said last time, we got an under. We got 203 total points between these two teams, and Shai had 33 of them. So yeah, he's always going to be high usage. Josh Giddey's usage continues to drop. I agree with all of it. So I'm going to go into my rebounding bets, baby, and I'm going to stay in this game. And I didn't know how to break it down. Like I was saying, last night a little bit, it was at 239.5 this open on the total. And so I was like, once it gets to 245, I'm going under, which just means I do think that there's going to be a few more rebounds than might be expected. So Domas 12 plus boards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 5 plus boards. They're both in good spots in these matchups in terms of rebounding against these teams. So I'll get into it a little bit. Rebound chances galore, as you call me, Josh, rebound chance Lander. But it's specifically for these two players. So the last game, Domas did have 26 rebound chances. He gobbled up 13 of them. SGA had 17 rebound chances and gobbled up 7 of them. And the reasons for each of these: Sac allows the second most rebounds per game to point guards. makes sense when you think about the amount of 3-pointers that Sac shoots and the amount of shots that they take overall, right? There's going to be more rebound chances because they're taking more shots. They took 47 threes last game. Shy's average rebounding distance from the basket was about 8 feet. And that's going to be about the average. So, like, really getting into the nerdy nitty gritty of where the rebounds are landing, which, by the way, Dennis Rodman didn't think it was too nerdy because that dude was literally studying where the ball bounces off a dude's shots. And for all these Kings players, that's a pretty good strategy, is like they're going to be long boards because there was 47 threes, of which they made like 17 of them, which is very impressive. But still, it's like that's 30 long misses for you. And I don't know that they're going to shoot that well from three once again. This Thunder defense has been better on the road, like very, very good, which you brought up as well. So I do think that he's going to be in the spot. He's standing where the rebounds come, man. So I'm going to go ahead and give Shy 5 of them. It's plus money for over 5. And I definitely chickened out because I wanted to just take a nice safe one and get a little bankroll builder. This is like minus 115 on DraftKings for this same game parlay. For the other side there, OKC, love you, Chet Holmgren. You need to put on like 25 to 30 pounds before you'll even come close to being able to box out big Domas Sabonis, who's just a beast right now on both sides of the ball in terms of offensive and defensive rebounding. The only dude crashing the offensive boards for Sacramento, by the way. And so, yeah, the OKC Thunder allowing the second most rebounds per games to centers. They are attempting a ton of shots inside the paint, right? It's the complete opposite of Shy. Sac attempts the fourth most shot, OKC attempts the fourth most shots inside of 5 feet. That's where Domas is standing. However good or bad he is at defending the rim, he is a very, very, very good rebounder. And like that's why his prop is up at 13.5 boards and just scares me a little bit because he gets 12. Like that's almost a guarantee, and 13 feels really right as well. But once you start getting up to that 14 to 16 range, I get a little bit nervous just because you need a few things to bounce your way, pun very much intended. So I'm just going to go with the 12 for Domas and the 5 for SGA.
And what odds does that get you when you put them together?
Minus 115.
Oh yeah. I mean, interesting that it's just plus money if you just take SGA. I mean, yeah. I don't know if I need to mess with 12 plus, even though he is one of the leading rebounders in the league, but that's a high number. So yeah,
the assist should be there for Domas as well. By the way, I mean it's a little bit high as well, but if you want to throw in like 7 assists or something like that for him, still getting pretty good juice.
He did have 13 dimes with Fox out when these teams played last time. So, yeah, I'll take another center in his rebounds assist. You might have heard of him. He is the two-time MVP Nikola Jokic coming off an ejection. The line is 22.5 rebounds and assists, and it's about minus 115 at MGM for the over. I just expect him to bring it tonight with a little bit of that extra rest. I mean, against a Brooklyn team that's on a back-to-back and just gave up 22 rebounds. Just rebounds last night to Yusuf Nurkic. Jokic is maybe the best defensive rebounder in the league in terms of just finding a way to hit control of the ball. He averaged 16 boards his last 3 against Brooklyn. He had 20 along with 35 points and 11 assists when they visited last March. At home, last season, 13.3 rebounds along with 9.5 assists. And the same thing this season. I mean, his only home game against an Eastern Conference team this year, he had 16 and 9 in terms of rebounds assists against Chicago. The Nets, I mean, they're on a back-to-back that you could see their offense suffer a little bit. Their defense has certainly suffered on the road regardless. They have a 125 defensive rating in their last 6 roadies here. That's why I mentioned in best bets some of these Jokic props along with the money line for Denver get you some good SGP action there. But in general, they're giving up a lot more stats on the road, playing a little bit faster. 45 rebounds and 27 assists on the road, 27 assists in losses, 27 assists against Western Conference teams, and 56 assists in their last 2 games on this trip to Sac and Phoenix. So, I mean, we expect Jokic to kind of dominate this game, but not necessarily do it with scoring. Do it the way he does, right, with Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon and all the guys he has around him now, is to probably get double-digit assists and rebounds. So maybe you want to bet a triple-double.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's going to get 10 points if he doesn't get kicked out in the second quarter. So why the hell not? Yeah, I mean, what's the triple double at? Probably. I mean, hopefully
it's only like plus 110 or something. Like
at least it's freaking plus money. It was like minus 130 at one point. I was like, what are we doing? This is crazier than a Christian McCaffrey touchdown for minus 300 almost. But anyway, I love the rebounds and assists for Joker for sure. Like I spoke about, don't love the points for nearly as much for him, but 10 should be a guarantee. So you want to throw a little bit on the trip dub, get in there. But I'll finish things up with another big white Eastern European and Zubac and a double double for Ivica in this one against the Dubs. And like, man, you talk about a team that's going to struggle against the center position without Day. They're bad, man. Like Kevon Looney's it, and I don't know that he's going to be 34 or 5 minutes a game, right? So who's guarding these centers? I guess Zubac, Looney will probably try to mirror Zubac's numbers, but if I'm the Clippers, I'm just pounding you down low. I'm just crushing you on offense, going to the basket with everything, every mismatch for Kawhi I can find. Every time Zubac wants the ball down there, which might also be a good opportunity for him to get assists, I would be going through him a lot more. Like, I understand you're not going to go through him necessarily, but the offensive rebounds are going to be there for a team that's already in the bottom 10 at defensive rebounding. Without Draymond in there, it's a big deal. So the points, it's at 11 and a half. I think the second chance points are going to be there for him, which is a big reason why I like the double double, because I do think the rebounds are going to be there for him. Without Draymond on the floor, this team has a 48% rebound percentage. Let that sink in. Because when he's on the floor, it's up to about 56, 57%. Like you can't just give up almost as many offensive rebounds as you gather defensive rebounds. That's just not a recipe for success. It's a very good recipe for Zubac to come in the minutes that he's played without the games that he's played without Draymond on the floor for the Warriors. There's only been one since he's come to the Clippers that he's played without Day. And in that one, double, 18 points and 13 rebounds, which is also actually the exact stat line that he had in this last game where Draymond was playing. But this true shooting percentage, man, it was a reason, you really do want to look at as the doctor of rebounds and rebound chances, I can tell you do want to also look at like how many shots is the other team missing, right? So that was a big part of the Isaiah Stewart under is like this Philly team is going to score at will on this Detroit team last night. And I do think there's going to be a lot of like easy buckets for the Clippers. And the fact that the Dubs are not shooting well, it's just there's going to be more rebound chances for them because they're still 24th in the league in true shooting percentage. It's just the complete opposite of what we've seen from this team when they're winning championships and making it to finals or conference championships and the like. So yeah, with the bad shooting for them combined with zero people that I feel comfortable boxing out Ivica Zubac in this one, I think that the double-double because of the over 10 boards is a really solid play.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty essential for them. I mean until Mason Plumlee comes back, right? I don't think you want Daniel Tice out there very much dealing with the Warriors' motion and pick and rolls and all that. So you're gonna have Zoo, who's an underrated part of this team, and why they're so good defensively with his rebounding. Give me some Podzimski props when those come up, though.
Yep.
I think it's time for the Warriors turn the page a little bit. Give the young guys some more run. Maybe go smaller because Looney and Wiggins have been so bad, and just play this youngster. Let's see if he can follow up 2 good games in a row against a pretty solid defense.
He's impressing me, man. I'm waiting on my Pajemski props, and I'm waiting on my Moses Moody props, my Moses Pajemski props, essentially, because, yeah, both of them, it's time for Moses, man. Like, he's proven it this year. Warriors fans have been clamoring for him, and he has the green light. Like, he's no longer scared. He looks the most confident outside of the Rook, Pajemski, and his little red fro there. So shout them out and definitely see what their props are at. I think Moody's probably going to be less than 15, and I would feel good about that in terms of the points right there. And rebounds, by the way, for Moody and Pajemski. Their fourth best offensive rebounder, Brandon Pajemski, standing at a stout 6'2" or so. Like, that's being nice. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Continue to follow along. Check out the best bets video we have and subscribe to that page. Until we see you next. Happy betting.